fans go quiet again, and then they realise they're not back. They're not back. You beat rubbish teams.
Hello guys, welcome to Daddy and the Don. Today we're going to be discussing Man United. Are they back? Have they ever been back? Are they likely to be back anytime in the near future? We'll discuss all that and more on today's video. My friend and co-host, Graham the Don Jones, he has polarised opinions with this topic. Man United fans aren't happy, neither is he, so we're going to clear the air with today's video, get everything off our chests and out in the open. If you agree or disagree with anything the Don has to say, please pop down in the comment section and we will reply to you as soon as possible. So without further ado, I'm going to take a look at how the conversation went down when I spoke to the Don earlier today. Graham Jones, how the devil are you?
Yeah, good to see you, Phil. Happy to be here.
Well, you say you're happy to be here. There's one set of fans that might not be happy for you to be here. So, Man United fans, you've been upsetting them again. Well, it's been an ongoing thing for the last couple of seasons. But what we're going to do is just try to tie up loose ends here, because a lot of people probably watch some of our videos, don't really understand the referencing. So, Ferguson won the title, I believe it was 2013, was it? His last season, won the title with that old man of a team that he left David Moyes. Cut his losses, realised he'd gone out on a high, left, and they've pretty much been in a sorry state of affairs ever since. Agreed?
Yes, compared to what they were before. They've won trophies, but no league.
So, a lot of people are saying this whole sort of phrase, oh, Man United are back, we're back. You've obviously countered it quite a lot, but just for me as well, and for all the guys listening, where did this whole Man United back business come about? What started this off?
Rio Ferdinand.
Okay.
When Solskjaer came in and he beat
Cardiff 5-0.
Cardiff and the other two teams, Fulham, and the three teams who got relegated that year. It was Ollie's first three games, and they won it like 5-1, 4-0, 4-0. And fucking knobhead Rio Ferdinand was like, "We're back!" And I just went, "No, you're not. You're not back. You're crap." And they ended up finishing shit still, and they haven't won the league since. And they appointed Ten Hag since that, and it was very obvious that he was not the man for the job. But they won the League Cup. They were back. They won the FA Cup. They're back, and they're still now not back. Man United fans are the most deluded fans in football. They are by far the most deluded fans, and I'll get to why exactly they are later in the video. But that just clears up why every time they have a few wins or they win a game, I always just refer back to that. They're back, but they're not back. They're not.
Other than Rio Ferdinand, who else says that they're back? Just like some of our mates say it to you as well, people at work. Do you get quite a lot of fans saying they're back as well, or is it just?
I think they say it because I say it.
Okay, so you're basically just having to go at Rio Ferdinand, and everyone else is just jumping on the bandwagon and countering you. Is that what we're saying?
Oh yeah, there's a few Man United fans that I know, and they'll always go, "We're back."
Do you think they really believe it though, or do you think they're just trying to get a reaction out of you?
Oh, I think they do it for a joke, but I think some of them will believe it. I think some of them generally believe there would be Man United fans at the start of this year that thought they could win the league, and I'm telling you now that is so sad that they thought that they had a chance to win the league. But they're out there. They're fans that think they can still do it, and they still think they're one of the best clubs in the world. And unfortunately, they're not. That's the.
So imagine you've got Man United of old, say when Fergie left them, or a couple of years before, when they still had the players, they still had the dominance. Say you've got like 100 steps to get there, so 100%, 100 steps on the staircase. What step are they on right now to being where they were then?
It's 100 the top.
Yeah, 100's the top, 0's like nowhere. So how many steps have they climbed on that step to getting back to where they were?
40.
So they're at 40. They're currently operating on 40%. But you feel most of the fans feel they're still like not far off of where they were when Fergie left.
I'd say half the support, half the fan base would think they're about 80, 90. They think they'll say they're 3 or 4 signings away. I think they're 40. I think they need quite a few players.
So I've got work that they're a bit older, to be fair, so they've like seen before Fergie and obviously after Fergie, and they're all just moaning about how crap they are and how crap the managers are. They're not really buying into this whole being back thing, and even when they win, they normally just go mad about that game as well, saying it just covered cracks. Which would you subscribe to as well?
Yes, and I think the main problem with Man United is their attack is actually shit. Their attack shit. You know, you've got
quite a lot of clean sheets, don't they, for like a Premier League team? They do keep enough clean sheets, but they just don't really score.
The defense isn't. I'm not saying the defense is the best. The defense is decent. Martinez is overrated, but he's not bad. That's why I hate Man United fans, because they'll tell you Martinez is one of the best, and I don't see it. But Dilip will bring quality. Mazzari's decent. You know, Dalot's not bad. Shaw, when he plays, isn't bad. Harry Maguire isn't a bad centre back, so they're not bad at the back. The midfield is getting better. They still need to cut their centre mids because Casemiro is just past it. The new lad from PSG looks like he's on roller skates, but Manu looks like he's a decent player. But again, over the exaggeration is why I hate Man United fans, because apparently he's great. But if Manu played for Liverpool, he'd be shit. That's why I don't like Man United fans. Bruno Fernandes would get in any team in the world, in the Premier League, probably apart from Man City, maybe Arsenal, because of Odegaard and Kevin De Bruyne, but he's a great player. But if you look at their front three, I don't think Garnacho is actually that special. I'm not saying he's bad. I think he's just okay. Rashford's crap. Højlund, I'm sorry, I just can't stay fit. Looks like he's a decent player, but is he a Man United striker? No. And Xerxes, well, he looks like he should be playing for Preston North End. And then Anthony, he looks like he should be playing living back in Peru somewhere. Somewhere in Peru, because they're not Man United forwards. So though I didn't rate the manager, he decided to buy these players. So that's why it's his fault. But he's brought in a lot of chuff, and he's not really strengthened their attacking, and that's why they're nowhere near. Man United need a striker, a couple of wingers, another centre mid, a defensive mid, and maybe just another defender just to bulk things up. So they're 4 or 5 players away from even challenging for the Premier League again. It's not even a sniff. So that's where I would say 40%. And I think most logical fans would agree with me. And there would be Man United fans out there who would go, yeah, he's talking a bit of sense. You know, I'm just saying how it is. I think Man United fans are afraid to just admit when a player's shit. He's good. No, he's shit. Just admit it. You're not going to do anything with that strike force. I think Man United will keep clean sheets, and they'll beat the teams they should beat. They'll beat the Leicesters. They'll beat the Ipswiches. They'll beat the teams at home they should beat. The Man United's problem is when they're away against a tough opponent, they'll get battered or they won't win, and that's where you have to make the footsteps. That's why we've become a better side in the last 3 or 4 years, because we're getting results away from home now, where before we'd lose away from home and we'll beat Norwich and Sunderland and Southampton, all these shitty sides at home, 4-5-0, and then get spanked away from home. And that's where Man United are to a point right now. They're in that 6 to 8 position where they're just not good enough consistently against the bigger sides, because they don't have the quality in all areas to compete. And that's why I say 40%.
So do you think Man United are currently in that spell where you were a few years ago, end of Wenger, Emery, and start of Arteta, where it was still like very inconsistent, like you say, getting battered away, full on attack, not shutting up the hatches when you're under fire, where now they're sort of finding ways to grind out games when they need to, play football when they need to, and it's more of a plan B now, where United are just waiting for this magic to happen that seems to never come.
Yeah, I agree, but I'd say exactly it is sort of that similar to that. But I'd say with us it was our defence, whereas with Man United it's their offense. Does that make sense?
Still the same.
Where I think we had a good midfieldist to a degree, and we had really good strikers. We had Giroud, Sanchez, Podolski. These were good players. Ramsey, because all up. So we had the talent. Unfortunately, we had Mustafi, and we just had a lot of chuff at the back. So it's exactly what Man United are going through now, except I think, though I'm not saying the defence is amazing, I still think it could be improved. But I'd say for me, Man United's problem is their attack, and that's why they're not progressing, because they've not got the quality and they don't have the game plan to adapt when they are playing certain games. And they seem to, and sometimes they play so hesitant, even when they should be winning as well, which I've noticed under Ten Hag. They seem to play not to lose. But they were playing at home again. They played teams at home they should win, and they've lost. Sheffield United, they lost last year. He was trying to play not to lose, and you don't need to do that at home against teams like that. So yeah, it's a combination of where we were, but with the attack. But they can beat a team at home, but then they'll go lose away to a tricky side, a side that would, like, I know they drew with you, but a side like Palace or Fulham or Brentford. Don't be surprised if Man United end up losing to one of them this year away from home, but they'll probably beat them at home. You see what I mean?
Because obviously a lot of United fans will bite back at you with the Arsenal-Man United rivalry. So I was just looking at sort of like what both teams have done since Fergie left. Obviously, you still had Wenger for a few of those years. So for yourselves, you pretty much just won, was it about 4 FA Cups in that time? You won 3 in like 4 years, and you won the COVID one recently, wasn't it? And then he's obviously kept on and got you back in the Champions League and done. It's more, he's sort of sacrificed the cups now, hasn't he, and just focused on being a real strong title contender.
Yeah.
But when you look at like United, they'll obviously quote, they've obviously won. Same as you, like Charity Shield, they've won a League Cup, they've won a Europa League, they've won, two FA Cups, is it? Ten Hag and Van Gaal. I sort of feel like they'll point at the trophies, but then would you say under Mourinho, even though this was the one where the fans probably criticised the manager the most, that was probably their best, because he got them second in the league, he won 2 trophies. It wasn't great football, but he was doing the right things to get points, where now it's sort of like you've not got good football and you're not winning anything either.
Agreed. And I think what it is, I'm not here to say that Arsenal are a better side than Man United. That's not the point of it. I'm just trying to make it very clear that Man United are not where they used to be. We did a video recently about Celtic, and I mentioned cup football. Now, Man United are doing well in cup football because it's cup football. It's a one-off game against an opponent. Anyone can win that game most of the time. So Man United have won a few cups in the last 10 years, but I still think it's very similar to our 4 FA Cups in the sense of total. So that doesn't justify the fact that they've only really ever been in one title race in the last 10 years, and they were second really by far because Liverpool had injuries and Arsenal and Tottenham, that they were just the best of a bad bunch that year. I remember doing a video about it when we first started the channel. They were best of a bad bunch, but they were the best they looked because Mourinho was trying to play a certain style of football. And he said recently that was one of his best achievements, because he even said the team wasn't good enough, but it shows how good of a manager Mourinho is, because he's able to get good out of a bad bunch. But what I think Man United need to blame the fact is that the team, the guys, the board and the directors, they're giving a manager, they need to just appoint a head coach, and they need to decide who they sign, because Ten Hag was given this opportunity to buy what he wanted, and he's bought shit, and that's his fault. So
since 2013, 1.43 billion in transfer fees paid, and
it's just not good enough.
Go for it.
But some of these players are just not good enough, and that's Casemiro had one good half season. Since then, he's looked like them in fucking, he looks like he doesn't care, he doesn't want to play anymore.
They haven't up well, though, have they? So when you're buying an aging Casemiro, for me, you would want 2 dogs either side of him that are going to do all the running and stuff.
Basically,
they've just left him out to dry, basically, haven't they? He's been left one-on-one with the danger players. That's why he gets so many yellow and red cards, because he's one-on-one in an overrun midfield. And
he played in a division that's majority just 3 good teams. Again, it's not hard playing for Real Madrid when you're playing against Almeria or Getafe, and that's another subject for another day. But people say that Spanish football's better, but it isn't. But he'll come to the Premier League, and you ain't going to get that freedom. So he's been exposed as a 31, 32-year-old that realise he's not up to the pace. There's a reason why Real Madrid sold him. Varane, there's a reason why Real Madrid sold him as well. He couldn't stay fit, and he played about 50 games in 3 seasons. So Man United are trying to buy names more than quality at that point. But then they go spend 70 million on a 19-year-old Danish guy who can't stay fit. It bobbles my head. I don't understand it. I don't get it. It makes no sense. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think he's a decent player. I think he's got a lot of quality. He's got potential, but he's not a man. He's someone that would fit in for West Ham. You see what I mean? So you spend 70 million on a guy that's not proven because his name's similar to Haaland. Obviously that's a joke, but you see what I mean? It's just makes no sense. It's just like you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're shooting yourself in the foot, and you're leaving yourself to be completely criticised.
So Fergie left, right, 2013. I don't think anyone expected him to win the league that year. And it was all sudden, wasn't it, when he announced he was going to go when they'd wrapped up the league. So he was almost thinking, right, I've managed to win with this team. Let's call it quits there, end on a high. So you had a lot of players in their mid-30s at that point where you're not going to get any money for them. They're all going to leave, and then you've got to replace them. Moyes came in. Do you feel he was just sort of like on a hide into nothing with that appointment? Because all I can remember them signing was Marouane Fellaini for 35 mil. And I think Zaha went, but that was Fergie's signing that was pre-arranged from January.
Yeah.
And out of that 1.4 billion, he's accountable for the 0.03 of it, yeah? So do you think if Moyes had had some of that kitty, spent it on players that he knows were good, so he might have got a couple of his, like Leighton Baines or someone like that, got some actual good players at the time in, and he had more time, he would have done as good as some of these managers or better, because he was out just after Christmas, wasn't he? He didn't last long.
He only lasted 6-7 months. He went in about March, February. The reason why Moyes didn't spend the money is because they won the league the year before, and the club at the time we can say it now. Prospectively, we can look at it now and go, their team was aging, it wasn't as good. But we didn't know that at the time. They won the league. Yes, maybe it wasn't the most competitive season, but you're not going to come in and go, I want to change everyone, bring in my boys Leighton Baines. You're just not going to be able to do that when you win the league. If Man United didn't win the league, then he would have been given the money. So that's why it was very unfair to him. The fact that he bought Fellaini in January, he didn't actually buy anyone in summer, because he was sort of told, you don't need to buy anyone, we won the league last year. And he got punished because he couldn't get the best out of a lot of Asian players like Nuno Valencia, Ashley Young, Carrick. None of these players were, for me, great players. None of them would be in a Fergie all-time 11. Ronaldo went. Rooney was still sort of in his prime at that point. But he just didn't have a lot of quality to deal with. And I think when you replace the greatest manager of all time and bring in the guy that's never managed a top side before, and give him no money, I don't expect anything to happen apart from disaster, and that's what happened. So if he was given money, I think he would have done a better job, but ultimately I don't think he still would have done what they wanted. They wanted him to win the league because they thought they could have done it back to back, but reality is Fergie was that good of a manager. He got an average side to a degree to win a division because it was based on his desire to win that. And you're not going to give someone money if you won the league the year before. Does that make sense?
Because any great team, so if we take the Messi era, Iniesta era, Barcelona, for example, unbeatable team at times, right?
Yeah.
They aged at a similar time as well. And you saw Barcelona have had a good sort of like 5 barren-ish years, haven't they, where they've really struggled to reproduce. They're playing well this year, but I'd say probably this year's the first time they've actually started looking a little bit like the old Barcelona in terms of dominating possession, scoring a lot of goals. They've been quite painful to watch the last few years, but that's inevitable in any great team when a generation ages. It's very rare to get a team that then just recycles a brand new team and doesn't go through a rebuilding process.
Yeah, Barcelona had a good year 2 years ago, but that was 1 year out of the last 4 or 5. And I think Real Madrid had a bit of a sleeper year that year. I think they won the Champions League though, Real Madrid still. So yeah, but to your point, I do think this is the best they've looked since Messi and Messi and Suarez and Neymar left. I know obviously you had Xavi and Iniesta before that, but Barcelona had the thing with Barcelona is that they did recycle their forwards. You know, Messi was there for what, like 15 years, and it wasn't always Messi, Suarez, Neymar. You had Messi, Pedro, Henry, Eto'o, Ronaldinho before that, even before Messi. So Barcelona was able to be the best side in the world for about 15 years. So it was always going to happen when they all disappeared, when there was no more, you know, for 15 years, you had at least Messi, Xavi, Ronaldinho. You know what I mean? One of these, 2 or 3 of these players was in these sides. So when they all disappeared, when it was none of them left, when Busquets left and all that, it was always going to happen. And that's what happened. So with Man United, I think it was when Fergie left, and he probably had his worst team that he's ever had. And he probably only had one world-class player. I think because Rio retired by then. And I think Vidic left as well. I think he only had one world-class player in Rooney. It's just never going to work. So Rooney can't do it on his own in a top division, where Barcelona, because they only had one competition, they were able to just, once they had this team, but they fade a player out every so often. But when Messi went and he was the final piece to go, there wasn't anyone else to pick up the pieces. And you were relying on Pedri, Gavi, and De Jong, who are all really great players and are now thriving, but they were young and they didn't have anyone else around them to make them as dominant as they were before. And that's what happened to Rooney. For me, Moyes comes in. He knows Moyes great. I know you, Moyes. I'm the best player here, but you're going to have to get a lot out of these guys because they're all 33, 34 and played over their performance because they played for the greatest manager ever. You're going to have to get us to win this league. And Moyes wasn't good enough because they weren't good enough.
So, quick bit of fun before we go. Obviously, you're an Arsenal fan. Man United, Arsenal have that rivalry. How many of Man United's players get in your team right now? Is it 0? Is it 1? Is it anyone?
One.
Is that Bruno?
Yeah, Ben White, Raya, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel. If Luke Shaw was fit, I'd have him in there, but he's not. I can't put him in there, so it'd be probably Timber. I'd put Timber, and then it'd be
a first team. Now you've got a squad, so it's a bit harder for these 11 comparisons now because you haven't really got missing pieces as much.
No, I'd say Bruno because, you know, Rice, Odegaard, Bruno. I know Martinelli's not playing as well, but I'd have him over any other Man United winger. Saka, and I'd put Havertz. It'd be 10-1, and I get some will say Manu, but where's he going to play? Where's Manu going to play? Who's he going to play in front of? I know I get Nana, but he's not better than Raya. Don't give me Martinez. I'm sorry, he's not anywhere near the level of Gabriel Saliba. And Dallow's inconsistent. So this is what annoys me about Man United fans. They'd go, "Oh, well, left-sided Man United fans." No, it's 1 or 2 at the very best. That's the fact.
Well, we'll see if anyone puts anything in the comments. We'll cipher through those and reply to them as we can. So before we go, any final message on Man United fans and in regards to them being back?
Well, they're not back. I did say when Ten Hag won the FA Cup, I said it's the worst thing that could happen for you guys, and I was right because you were shit. You are shit right now. You won a couple of games. You beat Leicester twice. Congratulations, you are now officially back.
Yeah, I think they really would have preferred the management, him to have been destroyed in that final, so they could just sack him and move on to the next.
That's what they wanted. He was getting sacked, and there was pressure because he won to give him another chance. Look, Ten Hag will walk away from this and go, in 10 years' time, I go, 2 seasons, League Cup, FA Cup, I didn't do too bad. And to be fair, that's what people are going to look at. And I get that. I've always been advocate for winning trophies matter because you remember it. But we're living in the present. And right now, yes, we haven't won anything for 4 years, but we are a better side than Man United. But in 20 years' time, people will look at it and go, well, they're a better side than them because they won. And I get that. But right now, if you want to live in that mystique and that delusionedness and thinking that Man United are anywhere near like an Arsenal or Liverpool, well, so do it. But be realistic. Right now, you're in a top 6 fight. The new manager will get some momentum. He'll have an easy fixture list, I think, for the first few games. I think they're back. But I think it will be a case of when they get them hard tricky. I think they got us away soon and we'll bang them. So that'll be a wake-up call.
Okay, so there you go, Man United fans. Officially, you're not back, according to Don Jones. So thanks for that, Graham. We'll catch you on the next one, mate.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
So there we have it, guys. That was the Don's verdict on Manchester United and whether or not they are back. Do you agree or disagree with the Don on this one? Let us know in the comment section. We will reply as soon as possible. If you did enjoy the video, please remember to like, subscribe. It really does help the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.